Hey, welcome to Film Fanatics, three film geeks discussing movies both new and old. My name is Dan.
My name is Justin.
And I'm Joe.
So let's dive into this. We're just going to do 10 through 2, bottom 3, and then we'll crank out our favorites.
Okay.
Well, Justin, why don't we start with you?
Okay, kicking mine off at number 10. Shaun the Sheep movie. I thought this one was a really cool idea. Trying to stick with the formula of the show, being free of dialogue, and still retaining a very innocent wit, and still managing to find ways to be touching, silly, and just overall a fun ride for the whole family for the summer. My number 9, Spy. This one caught me by surprise. I'd heard of the really positive reception ahead of time. I was expecting another Heat where I enjoyed myself, but I never had any real interest to watch it again. This was like, okay, I might finally be able to get on board with the Melissa McCarthy movie. It's both a sort of parody of sorts to the spy genre, but also a really clever homage at the same time. I thought the supporting cast was really great. Rose Byrne's amazing as the villain. My number 8, Trainwreck. Now, Judd Apatow, not the best track record with me, but getting Amy Schumer to write the script and him just sort of roll with the punches, I thought it was really well done. One of the better rom-coms I've seen in recent years. Schumer and Hader had great chemistry and some of the best laughs I've had this summer. My number 7, Dope. This was one that I feel like fulfilled what we were hoping Dear White People would be. It's very intelligent, but it's also giving us more of a storyline to go with. There's some great characters, some really sharp commentary, and probably one of the best final moments of the entire summer. My number 6, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I was never entirely convinced we were ever going to get better than Ghost Protocol, but they found a way. They retained the intensity of 3 and the fun excitement of Ghost Protocol and gave us a great movie that's a really epic adventure. I may not be the world's biggest Tom Cruise fan, but I'm very excited to see where the franchise is going next. Number 5, Love and Mercy. We've seen many a music biopic, but this took such an interesting angle with it and did it so well. We've slammed Cusack all over the place with his more recent choices, but he's back in spades. Elizabeth Banks is fantastic. I still think she could get a supporting actress nomination for this, and apparently if we ever need an evil manager, all we have to do is call Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, seriously.
Really engaging story, fascinating character study about Brian Wilson's psyche, and great Beach Boys music. What's not to love? Mm-hmm. Number 4, Mr. Holmes. This is one that I could have seen going a bunch of different ways, given the fact that it's not a Sir Arthur Conan Doyle story. I'll be correct addressing here, but Ian McKellen, fantastic in this movie. Truly brings the iconic character to life and embraces the fact that it's a counterpoint to the iconic sleuth that we know and love. And I think it gives a unique portrayal on him and shows how he could evolve. My number 3, The Gift. There are many different celebrities turned filmmakers. Angelina Jolie, Ben Affleck. I gotta say, Joel Edgerton has one heck of an eye, to say the least. He gives us a really original story, gives us some great characters, and quite possibly some of the best suspense all year. Also gives a very, very smartly done, ambiguous conclusion that more than welcomes a conversation about it. My number 2, Inside Out. Hey, Pixar comes back, and they come back swinging. It's a great concept. It's beautifully done. The voice acting is sensational. Tear-jerking moments all over the place. Pixar is the master at that. Made me laugh, and honestly, if I was going by personal enjoyment for the summer, this would probably be number 1.
Oh, wow.
I just feel like the top 5 and the top 10 lists really are about our personal enjoyment.
For the most part, I mean, generally speaking, a movie doesn't make it to, like, the A's if you don't like something about it.
True. I'll go next. My number 10, I had a big struggle with, I had one slot left. Which R-rated comedy do I put in there? Do I put Spy or Trainwreck? I gave them both a B+. I enjoyed them both very much. I went with Spy.
Okay.
I love Amy Schumer, but I think Spy is more consistent because though Trainwreck does have some good dramatic moments, it has a difficult time pulling them out and going back to the comedy. And I think Spy really was a great showcase for Melissa McCarthy's comedy. Justin made a point on the show about something that I actually hadn't thought about when I watched it, because I'm a fan of hers anyway, but Justin typically is not. And what you said, Justin, is that this is one of the only movies you've seen, or only roles you've seen, where she's playing a character you can actually get behind. And I agree with that. I think her character here is great. I think her interplay, and I forget the actress's name, the British woman that she goes with.
About, yeah.
I thought they had a great chemistry together, and Rose Byrne, obviously, great villain. So I went with that as number 10. Number 9 for me is The Gift. I agree. Edgerton really, really put out something special here, both in the directing and the writing. It's a great thriller. Bateman gave a great performance. It's got so many good twists. It had some problems, but the movie is good enough that they can mostly be overlooked.
Yeah.
Number 8 is Far From the Madding Crowd. I imagine I'll probably be the only one with this one on my list.
It was on the short list.
A lot of repeats, I know, but this one I think I may stand alone. I thought Carey Mulligan really gave an outstanding performance here.
She was good.
She was, and I do agree from what we talked about on the show that the guy she marries is useless, sort of useless, here. But I thought Michael Sheen just gave a great performance. This character of hers is very, very strong. And for me to really enjoy a period piece, I think says something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Number 7 for me is Straight Outta Compton. The performances here, I think, blew everybody away. They're just so good. Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, the people playing these well-known figures,
like Mac G,
were just fantastic. Paul Giamatti here, as well as in Love and Mercy, doing the great evil manager bit.
Evil?
Not as evil in this, though.
Corrupt, maybe?
Not quite.
Corrupt is probably a better word.
Okay.
Yeah. But really, really a good biopic. Definitely runs on too long, but very enjoyable. Number 6 for me is Shaun the Sheep movie. For me, probably the biggest surprise on my list. I really am not a huge fan of this animation style. I thought this movie was funny. I thought it was clever. It really spoke to kids and adults on 2 different levels, like a lot of the best Pixar movies do. To me, it's a surprise coming from Aardman Animation like that. Number 5 for me is Dope. Really, really blew me away. This performance by the lead actor was great. Fresh on the scene for this movie. And he just gives such a grounded and real performance as the Malcolm character. And I thought it was funny in the right places, but certainly dramatic as well. Had a lot of things to say about, youth culture and drug culture and a lot of different things. Romance, even. Number 4 is Amy. And that is the Amy Winehouse documentary. Just a heartbreaking portrayal of this woman. Had a lot of issues, and they really covered them all, I think, pretty fairly. They did a lot of interesting things interview-wise with the style of the interviews. Just a really, really good documentary. Number 3, another music picture. This is the year of the music picks, I feel like.
Oh.
Love and Mercy, just absolutely fantastic. I would love to see Elizabeth Banks get a supporting actress nomination. We know her, obviously, in so many of her comedic roles, but I'd say of all the great performances in this movie, and there isn't really any bad ones.
No.
I think she actually gives the best performance in the picture. John Cusack certainly gives us his first good performance in
long time.
Let's say
3.
a decade.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I'll let you have that
Were
one.
you going to say 3 years,
Well,
Justin?
If you guys,
He was forming a 3.
if you guys liked 1408, it would be like 8.
I liked
Oh, I
1408.
do like 1408. All right,
So
8
let's
years
set 8
then.
years.
Yeah.
I do like 1408. You're right. But Paul Dano, another great performance here. And I just love the idea of giving one man the 2 separate stories, just in 2 different avenues of his life, the 60s Wilson and the 80s Wilson. Number 2 for me is Mad Max Fury Road. I mean, I've never seen anything like this movie. The directing, the editing, the guitarist on the back of the truck is fantastic. I really think this is just a brilliant movie from start to finish. I know some people didn't like that maybe we didn't know enough about these characters. I didn't care. I was on for the journey just like everybody else was.
I guess it's proof that you don't need much of a plot to make a great movie.
True.
Well, you need to keep it simple and have it stay true to that form.
Yeah.
Which I feel like a lot of movies don't do.
Stick to the formula.
Joe?
I mean, I like your list, guys.
Thanks.
Might be one or two surprises from me. The first one for me is Fukatsu no F, or Return of Frieza, Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, I thought this was a great one for the fans. It was a lot of fun. It was tough though, because I had a lot of spots for this number 10, but I'll give it to Dragon Ball. I thought it was a really fun time. Number 9 was Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. It's a pretty big surprise for me, but this movie hit all the emotional notes for me in the right place. I thought the performances were great, really touching. Number 8 was Dope. I still stand. I think that this movie has probably one of the best main characters of the year so far. I still think he's really up there. Just as you said, Dan, great commentary on a lot of things, music, teenagers, the college struggle, drug life. I'm sure like life out on the West Coast. Just a lot of different issues going on there. Number 7 was The Gift. Honestly, like you guys said, just one of the best thrillers I think we've seen in years. It really is up there. Definitely one of the best for sure. I have to say the performances were all really good here too. I will say it was one of the big surprises because I'll tell you that trailer just made it look so cheesy to me. But for once, the trailer failed. The movie was a great success.
Another end of watch.
Exactly. Another example. That should be a term too. If you have like should it be end of watched?
Let's go with that.
Like all the bad trailers for great movies. Number 6 is Mr. Holmes. I mean, Ian McKellen, just great performance as usual. And I did like that they pursued a different angle with the Sherlock Holmes character for once, having that more, I want to say like a more realistic portrayal for him as an old man. I think they covered a lot of ground there. Number 5 is Straight Outta Linwood. I mean, Compton. I mean, just really a fantastic film. I do agree maybe a little long, but I didn't really care. I thought it was great. I thought the performances were amazing. I thought it delved really well into these men and their lives, and the music was great, of course, and it was well shot, edited, just from start to finish. You know what? I could have used more. I loved it, and that's always a good thing. Number 4 is Dark Places. I mean, just Charlize Theron, fantastic. Really, I just loved how gritty and dark this movie was. Another great thriller that was a bit of a surprise for me. Really, really interesting. A few minor issues, but still great. Number 3 is Inside Out. Mostly, I'm just going to say Pixar strikes again. And leave it at that. Really. Number 2 is Love and Mercy. I think really just the best Cusack performance in a long time, like you guys said. But pursuing both aspects of his life, I thought was amazing. Of course, great usage of the Beach Boys track. And you know what? Thus far in the year, if Elizabeth Banks won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, I'd be fine with it.
I think I'd be all right with that as well.
I don't see any reason not to.
And like I've honestly thought that she hasn't had the best collection of films for the most part, but this really showcases a strong dramatic side, which I wouldn't have expected. But yeah, Love and Mercy was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's go to the other end of the spectrum and talk about our 3 least favorite films of the summer. Justin?
Number 3 on the worst of the summer. No Escape. I shouldn't expect too much from the same guy who gave us As Above, So Below. But if you're going to use as much Steadicam as this man does, let it breathe. There's like at least 18 different tracking shots, and they're boring. There's no tension whatsoever. It's tedious.
It's true.
And to be honest, I started getting so terribly disoriented that I actually got out of my seat, watched from afar, and occasionally stared at the ground to make sure I didn't get nauseous.
Dizzy.
My number 2, Sinister 2. Take what was one of the better horror films from a few years back and more or less flush everything that was good about it down the drain. Everything about this movie feels underdeveloped. The villain, I'll be honest, I don't understand what role he plays anymore.
Well, the kids are the villains in that one.
The kids are more or less the villains in this time around, which is strange. I get that it was like one of the key elements of the first movie, but it just holds no weight. And then the new characters are so bland and lifeless, and it almost has virtually no continuity to the original film whatsoever. It more or less just opens every flaw from the original and makes it so much worse. And the worst of the summer, The Gallows. Now, I would like to draw attention to the fact from my review, talking about the character of Charlie Grimmel. Dan and I found out shortly thereafter, not true. But here's the thing, listeners. That is one issue out of endless horrible things that can be associated with this movie. Bad acting, unlikable characters, shaky cam, cheap effects, I'll give them a little bit of credit for the fact that they found a way to stretch that $100,000 budget. But if you're going to make a movie about theater, at least give us characters that are somewhat sympathetic. Instead, it just turns into a really bad Paranormal Activity knockoff. And even that's putting it politely.
You're right. I mean, I think if you're going to make a movie about anyone, you should make characters you can get behind, whether it's in the theater or not.
Well, I mean, look at...
Because any movie, I feel like, needs characters you can get behind. That's typically one of my problems if I can't find anybody to get behind.
We ran into a similar issue last year with God's Pocket.
Oh,
I'm
God.
not going to turn this into a war.
Oh, God.
Wait, what?
No, don't. Just... Yeah, but he was only unlikable to you. Joe and I did like him, and that's why we graded it higher.
I was going to go Breaking Bad on that, but...
Tony Soprano.
Okay.
Bad guy,
Sopranos.
likable.
He's a good guy.
Yeah,
He does
guy,
bad
but-
things. Good guy.
see, this is...
Great debate. Well, my bottom three starts off with a real recent entry, and that's Transporter Refueled.
Wait, what?
This movie stinks, and I did not care for it. It's boring, it's forgettable.
Pretty bad, I guess.
The acting is weak, the rock fight, it goes on. Number two, Fantastic Four. This movie almost received an F from me, but it didn't because of basically Miles Teller gives a pretty decent performance. Michael B. Jordan gives an okay performance. Kate Mara also appears. She's not horrible, but, you know.
She's not quite good
I
either.
expect better from Kate Mara, let's just say that. This movie is terrible. It just skated by with a D. Usually when we do the year-end top 10 or bottom 10, I only have 9 Fs, and so typically the last 2 years anyway, the number 10 slot has been reserved for a non-F. I imagine it's going to be Fantastic Four. This was so close to an F for me. It's awful. Number 1 for me is Hitman. This movie really is just unnecessary. The plot synopsis that Joe suggested from one of the games when we reviewed it on last week's show would have been 10 times better than this. I would have been so much more intrigued. Joe, please write the next Hitman movie and cast it while you're at it, because the people they got to play in this movie were terrible.
To be honest, I can think of about 3 good bald people that could play him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know.
Corey Stoll's in about every third movie. Get him in.
You know
as
what?
The Hitman. And,
Not a horrible choice.
right? Call it a day. All right, so that's my bottom. Joe, what do you got for your worst of summer?
Okay, well, for my worst, it's tough. Gallows didn't quite make it for me, though. Disappoint you, Justin, but it's still pretty bad. Number 3 is Irrational Man.
Short list as
That
well.
was bad.
God! I mean, like, at Woody Allen, you know, just, look, take a break. Just take a
It's
couple
okay.
years. You can breathe. You've made enough movies. You've got some good ideas here, but please, just take some time to flesh out these ideas, and then you could have a competent script, but talk about nothing. Like a vacuous void of nothing. Only reason I didn't fail was because there were some decent performances and potentially good ideas, but pretty boring film. My number 2 is Fantastic Four, because it's an abomination. Okay?
It's one of the worst things.
I did a video about it and I said, how did we get here? I don't know. I mean, you know, Fantastic Four is not that great, but they deserve better than this. And Wild Horses. It's just unbelievable how you could have such competent people behind the movie and produce something like this. It's one of those examples of just, you look at some of these scenes, hear some of this dialogue, and you think, either people thought this was good and there was something off about that day, or they just didn't care. Either way,
Well, who questions Robert Duvall?
sometimes you have to have more thoughts behind it, you know, to produce a good product. I don't know if Duvall just didn't care, but obviously by his acting he didn't care. So
Definitely not.
It's pretty rough. I would not recommend it all, as I said on the show.
All right. Interesting. We had each of us had a movie from this very podcast.
Tail end of summer is usually...
Yeah, tail end of summer is not typically good. All right. Well, Justin, what was your favorite movie of the summer?
Well, no surprise here, gentlemen. Mad Max Fury Road.
Not Paper Towns?
No, sorry, Joe. But, I mean, took forever to get here, but the wait was worth it. George Miller just gave us a fantastic movie, kept it simple, but rocked it so well. Hardy is perfect as the new Mad Max, paying homage to the iconic character made famous by Mel Gibson, but yet making it his own. Charlize Theron is great, and honestly plays off Hardy beautifully, great action, great energy. I'm very, very excited to see where the franchise is going next, and easily the biggest blockbuster of the summer in my book.
Well, I have a huge blockbuster for my number one, and that's, of course, Inside Out.
Mm-hmm.
The great Pixar has struck again. And who knows what the Oscar movies are going to bring, but I wouldn't be surprised if, once again, Pixar has my favorite movie of the year. They've done it several times in the past, including Toy Story 3 and Up. And Inside Out is just firing on every cylinder. It's funny, it's heartfelt, you bring your tissues, you cry about it, you laugh about it. All the characters are great. Though I wish the concept were as original as people thought. Classic Herman's Head right there.
Comes up a lot.
Because it's just a ripoff of Herman's Head. But that's all right. Because they did it very well. And they picked a show that is so obscure no one noticed. So it's okay.
Guess so.
No, I love this movie. It's fantastic. But not Fantastic Four, because that was terrible.
Or the Fantastic Five.
Actually, the Fantastic Five
Yep.
would be more apropos. You're right.
Yeah, hey, well, they did The Incredibles. What if they had those same characters in superhero roles?
I would love it.
Might be kind of fun.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no surprise. My number one is Mad Max Fury Road. Basically everything Justin said. I think this movie proves that you can have a movie that's an incredibly fun blockbuster and still be incredibly well made, just in every aspect. I mean, the directing, the acting, the script, and just... the movie looks beautiful. I mean, there's the cinematography and the special effects and the time and effort and probably blood and sweat that went into this movie. Mm-hmm. It's there, and it's put together in a very, very coherent way, and it's still crazy and amazing and absolutely a fun time. Just pure adrenaline injected into a movie. A lot of fun.
For sure. And speaking of the big blockbusters, Jurassic World just made my short list. That obviously was a huge record-breaking movie this summer. It's already the third highest grossing movie domestically of all time, but not as good as these.
No, it wasn't.
No, it really wasn't.
It was fun though.
It was. It was a lot of fun.
It was,
but
it was Jurassic Park.
It was Jurassic Park
with a little
with
extra.
some twists and woman running in heels. Little standby. At least they pointed it out. At least they pointed it out. I know that doesn't make it better for you.
To be fair, yes, they did point it out.
Yes.
If they hadn't pointed it out,
I would have been mad too. Actually,
it would have lowered my grade.
Yes.
It would have probably lowered.
I agree. We'll have the Boldly Going series coming up soon on Joe's channel, and if you'd like to subscribe to our channel, you can certainly do that. We'd love to have you aboard. That is going to do it for this week. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.